And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 297, and I'm joined once again by the good brother here. We got Colossal Mike Law. And oh no, your camera's gone off. I know we wanted to do a big unveiling here, but now we can't see you at all, good brother.
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you hear us? Are you there, Mike? Can you still hear me? Hold on. We're gonna do one of these to get Mike Law back in here. Give us 1 sec, ladies and gentlemen. Just give us one second here. Let me just 1 second. Okay, 1 second, ladies and gentlemen, as we get Colossal Mike Law back in here. My apologies. But yeah, let's see. Do we can you hear us now, Mike? Can you hear us?
Well, let me see. No, I still can't hear, but let me try to do something here on my end. Let me see if get the volume up. I don't know if it's gonna require me to do speakers or not, but I can't. I for one can't hear you. If you can hear me, that's great. It's gonna be
we can hear you, but it's gonna
be kind of a one-sided conversation here.
1 second.
All right, let's refresh this. Let's see.
Yep. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen, as we get that working, because we can hear Mike Law, but this definitely would be an interesting conversation of trying to play. Can Mike Law read my lips here? Let's see. Okay. Now we can.
This is just. Is someone trying to sabotage me? Is that what is going on here? I can't hear you.
It might be. Oh, you can't hear me still. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure. Is it me this time? No, it's my audio's here. And anyone in the comments, can you let us know if you can hear me? Because I can hear Mike. But
all right, you know what? Let me see something. Let me figure something out here because we're gonna get this done. Let's see. All right, let me. I think I can figure this out myself. I'm no techie, guys, but I will tell you that I've been involved in these sort of things for a while. So I think this is the work of Elliot Martinez and Federated, if you don't mind me saying. Right? They want to keep me offline. All right. Colossal Mike Law, that's me. I think that's me. All right, let's see here, because my voice needs to be heard, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We're gonna turn this guy off, and we're here. We're live.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear and see me?
I can still hear you because I could hear. I heard you earlier. That was the funny part. That I was like, why can't he hear me? Because I could hear him. I was hearing you on the other end. I was gonna message you. If anything, try to copy and paste the link into your browser. And that might alleviate the issue, hopefully. But as long as you can hear us, and we can hear you now, so we're all good. We're off to the races here.
We're all good, man. And as you can see, I'm representing Battle Club.
Hey, there you go.
We got the big Summer Sizzler, Jobber Slam 4 this coming Saturday, 5 p.m. Brooklyn Stydome. And I'll be competing for myself and Chris Coluto will be competing for the Battle Club Championship, Tag Team Championships, I should say. Man, I'm just getting myself mentally ready. I know we spoke about this before, but I'll do the big reveal, I guess. If you haven't followed me on social media, I went through a little change. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Well, that was something when I saw it, I was like, there's no way. Then I saw it in someone else's story. I was like, oh no, this is real. So look at that. Even on the phone now, it gives you the thumbs up.
It gives you a thumbs up, right? There you go.
But no, so let's get into that before we even talk about this huge opportunity coming Saturday. Just what inspired the change here, man? What inspired deciding, you know what, after again, many years in the business being like, let's have a fresh look here. Let's do something different. going into this return here on Saturday?
Yeah, I think for me, just like I think it's a compliment. I want to believe it's a compliment
Yeah,
that a lot of people say, "Man, you just haven't aged," and you look the same that you've looked at the last 15, 20 years. And to me, I was just like, I have been wanting to change it up for a while, and
got you.
I think when I started the Colossal Collective with AJ Slater and Chris Kaluta, I was like, I wanted to change, you know what I mean? And it just became one of those things, and I said, the opportunity came to kind of come back with something different, like a fresh look. And that's what it became, and that's what it is, I know a couple of my buddies, oh, you're going through a midlife crisis. Like, man, the midlife crisis happened when I did my first death match. This is just added, bonus.
Gotcha.
I think for me personally, it's just one of those things where, um, it, I listen. Whatever happens in the future, I don't think a look or change in the look defies who I am, and what I do as a performer and as a wrestler. But it definitely is something that came to shock to a lot of people. But it's just the beginning of a lot of different changes that I personally have wanted to take in order to, just change it up. You know what I mean? I always said to myself, I didn't want to be, looked at the same way I was when I first started. I always said that, if you're starting out and you're starting out, whether it's a gimmick or a look or your gear or your persona, and, 10 years come down the line, you're still doing the same thing. There's something I think incredibly wrong. You know what I mean? Like anyone who's had longevity, Chris Jericho, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, all these guys have always had a change in the demeanor and the way they dug, the gear, the look. It's all been a constant evolution. So, am I saying it's a permanent thing? No, I mean, things always change. I could change my mind and grow it back. But I think it was just, I don't know. I just wanted to introduce another level of intensity of, who I am, what I do.
Got you. Now and again, it works too because it's always good to reinvent, like you said. A lot of those guys that have kept themselves continuously evolving and reinventing themselves and finding something where again this could work. Who knows? Again, a few months from now, it might be something different. You don't know what could happen, and staying different, changing it up. We got Matt Awesome saying, "Damn, now Mike and Toe can seriously team up." There you go. The skyscrapers are real.
There
Now
you
we'll
go.
have the
There you
matching,
go.
just nice,
Man,
freshly shaven heads. There you go. We got Richard Ruiz in the chat saying, Mikey, what's going on? Richie, what's going on? What's going on? We got West Kyle and Rocco showing love. Much love, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. And there we go. We got Toe in the chat saying my tag team partner.
There you go. Now we have matching hairdos. You better be there on Saturday.
Oh, man. And there we go. We got Richie saying, I was there to watch Mike Law win the ECWA championship. There you go. Shout out to Richie in the chat.
Rich is, man. He's really one of the good ones, man, and just one of the good brothers, and all these guys. Toe tags, Matt, well, sometimes, with Matt, but but Rich has always been a good dude, and yeah, he was there for when I beat Azrael for the ECWA Heavyweight Championship, and it was a huge momentous occasion. Unfortunately, during that time, I don't think ECWA was at its strongest. I don't really believe. I'm not gonna. I guess. I don't necessarily follow their product now. I hope they're doing well. But yeah, I mean, I at that time I really did try, and I was the first ECWA heavyweight champion to defend the title outside of the United States, and I was looking to eventually take it to Germany and to Mexico, and then I lost the title, and it happens, but it was a great moment for me and a great along with the Super 8s, those are cool.
Okay, no, definitely so. And here we go. We got Lonnie in the chat saying the Colossal Toes. No, they have an official name. It is the Skyscrapers for Toe and Mike Law. So it's patent pending. We'll say that it's patent pending. Skyscrapers. We got Sammy Chaos in the chat saying, "Mike Law, help us. We're getting our asses kicked by your worst enemy, SOS."
Oh boy.
I guess training is going a little wild tonight at the Fallout Shelter. Shout out to the whole family over at the Fallout Shelter there.
There won't be any help. It'll actually get progressively worse if they decide to come on Thursday. They know this.
Which again, shout out to what you and Uncle Steve have been doing every Thursday at the Fallout Shelter. Again, guys, if you want to again achieve those dreams, if you want to become a professional wrestler, get involved in the business as well. Come down, train at the Fallout Shelter, make that first step into really again doing this and making it a reality here. So
Definitely.
let's get into that too as well, Mike. Let's get into how has that been just seeing progressively how even the Fallout Shelter has grown from its initial days in one part of LIC to now becoming what it has with even the class growing, seeing what the students have been doing, and even making their own paths now in our lovely scene here, in our lovely craft, if you will.
Absolutely. To me, it just like anything starts, we've had our tumbles, we've had our growing pains, and there've been definitely some tense moments, in the process. I think for me, it's me personally, I'm not going to speak on anyone else's behalf. It is very cool to see the progression of not only guys and girls who didn't really have an idea of what they were doing, like any of us do, back when we first started, right? But then seeing the progress and just people finding themselves, finding their confidence, finding their persona, finding who they are, and just a lot. There's just so much incredible talent in general, but I love seeing the fact that someone like Sammy Chaos is really going out there and doing her thing, and she's a huge star to make it. I have no doubt about it. Everyone from that to Brian Baum, AJ Slater, Chris Kaluta, I could continue dropping names, but they're all, there's a lot of talented, gifted athletes there. We're gonna give them we're gonna give them the tools to get to where they need to. Whether they decide to implement that and go full force, that's something they have to decide. And I think a lot of them are finding their niche. I think it's only a matter of time that you see some of our athletes continue to progress and continue to climb higher and higher in the industry. And I'm proud of that. You know what I mean? I always, like, this past weekend, it was, great bringing one of our newest students. We call him Davey Jr. David Alfonso, who first started in the New Japan dojo in Los Angeles and then came to us via that, Los Angeles via New Japan dojos. And the kid gets it, you know what I mean? He is like literally less than a year in, and the progress that he's making is incredible. And having him on his first tour, in Canada was very much an eye-opening experience for him, and I think he appreciated it. And as far as anyone else who decides to follow the path, I mean, again, I will always look out for those who work hard and continue to push themselves. I have not been. I'm not a fan of like rewarding mediocrity. You know what I mean? Like I will truly be blunt and honest with promoters when they ask me about certain people. And that's just overall. Like, you could be my best friend if I think you have value, you bring talent to something, I absolutely will let whoever needs to know. But at the same time, if someone's slacking and I see it, then yeah, it's not really going to be much for me to say regarding that, And my word's very important because I've prided myself on the reputation that I've built, and I think Steve is the same way. Like, he's worked his ass off to get his reputation, and anyone we put a name on, we want to make sure that they can deliver at a highest capacity.
Of course, because it's one of those things, especially when it comes to you putting in that word for someone, it reflects on you because it's one of those of, oh, if they put their stamp and they're doing this, that doesn't look too fond on the person that recommended or passes along like, hey, yeah, you should use this person, or they might add that value and then it doesn't work out the way it should. Then that's, again, it looks poorly on you, and it doesn't help build that bond for possibly the next person you could recommend. Or
you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. That's exactly it.
Oh, definitely. Again, that is to anyone that, again, still young in this business as well. If someone does put in that word, take advantage of that. Do that and try best ability to nail it out the park, because again, it's one of those where you're paving that way for the next person to be able to get that opportunity as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say this: the one thing that I'm very proud of is listen, we have a very large class of students, and obviously there's a lot of staff and coaches, involved at the fallout, and the amount of negative has been very minimal. We have had so much positive feedback from promoters, from other wrestlers who, hey, you're bringing these kids up right, respect, professionalism, locker room etiquette, huge, stuff like that, and listen, people do fall on the wayside, and we let them know, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, like, it is very important that we keep that, going, full circle, just not only for us, but for the industry involved, as far as, those type of things that are important.
Definitely. No, definitely. Again, is one of those to have that in that mindset when doing this, and especially for those that are going out, to have that. Hey, what you're doing out there also reflects on your coaches, on where you're coming from. Again, it's one of those where that should be the thing of, hey, you're not only just representing yourself, you're now representing, again, that homegrown where your stomping grounds, in a sense,
Absolutely.
But here we go. We go back to the chat for a second. Shout out to VXS in the chat saying, if you had your own cereal, what would you call it? Law and Crunch or Colossal O?
I listen. I like Colossal O's, man. I would definitely trademark that. That actually sounds like it could be something
I feel
huge.
like that could be a cool T-shirt design, if anything, too, of just Colossal O's right there.
You know me, and you know how I like my playing homage to different characters and stuff. I've done the Deathmatch Mike T-shirts that are the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
I've done the Jersey Mikes.
Again, that might be an idea right there. So we shall see. Shout out to VXS in the chat, but also
good luck tonight. Good luck this weekend, right? They have
another
something going on Friday. Yeah.
Friday's Arrival 2. Shout out to them. Matt Awesome saying, yeah, Mike doesn't like chocolate style. That's my ass off now. Mike's a dope ass dude. Always like Mike. There you go. Much love here to Matt Awesome in the chat. But again, we get to it here. Before we get into everything else, we also want to discuss again, Saturday. It's coming up. Jobber Slam 4. Huge opportunity here. The Colossal Collective looking to gain some Battle Club gold, as it will be for those Battle Club Pro Tag Team Championships. Here it will be the Colossal Collective challenging against defending champions, the Scotta Ricans, JTP South, and representing Federated will be Rembrandt and the young lion himself, Keyshawn Edwards. So talk us through this one, Mike, and what it feels like to bring the Colossal Collective here to Jobber Slam and have a shot to become Battle Club Pro Tag Team Champions.
I think, for me, when I look at guys like Kaluta and AJ, when I look at those two guys, it's kind of my idea of how I look at people in general. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of schools and a lot of people in our industry that like will completely negate somebody because of a small flaw that they may have. What I'll say myself and Ref Steve pride ourselves on is that we see potential in everybody. Now, whether they see potential themselves is a whole completely different ball game. But with that being said, like, I see the insane potential. Like, you could take AJ Slater and put him on TV tomorrow, and nobody would bat an eye. Looks great, looks like a superstar, has a charisma, has a presence to himself. Kaluta, to me, is a work in progress. There is a lot of potential there. In my opinion, like, I want to mold him to be the heavyweight that I always felt I could be. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those things where I just see it as like, hey, this is a guy that I'm taking under my wing, and any opportunity we have is an opportunity to showcase what we can do. And this Saturday is like, that's why it's important to me. I was like, I gotta be honest with you, Ray, and I'm gonna a little bit, but for me, well, you have the sound effects.
Yeah, we have everything. Man. We have everything.
I kind of assumed that it was gonna be a. I didn't look at this as the opportunity, because I feel that we have worked hard, myself included. This is to me like, I just came back from Dominican Republic on Thursday and did a
2-day tour of Canada, which involved 6 matches in 2 days. And they weren't easy. Those Canadian guys, those Canadian athletes, guys and girls, but guys because I wrestled, they're a different breed, man. But I always said to myself, like, it showcased to me why I'm a main event guy, and that's why I never. There are companies that I used to wrestle for, they're not only compete for, because if they couldn't see my vision, who I believe I was, then I'm not. Then I don't need them, and that's straight up. You can take it any way you want it. And so when this match was announced, I did kind of take it a certain way, because I go, why is it that myself, a guy who's dedicated himself so much to not only Battle Club, I mean, I'm rocking the shirt, Fallout Shelter, Chris Kaluta, who has put his best foot forward for the Fallout Shelter, why wasn't this just a tag team match? I just felt like, okay, we're throwing more obstacles in these guys' ways to kind of like undermine them, you know what I mean? And I hate saying taking offense, because I'm not a person who takes offense to anything. I grew up at a different time. But to be honest, for me, it was one of those things where I did take a little offense, because I said, to me, it's like, okay, dude, I've already showcased that I could main event against anyone and anywhere. And Grant, this is for the tag team titles. And to me, that's a huge opportunity. But I just felt like, man, do you really need JTP South? Do you really need Federated? Like, let us showcase what we can do against the current tag team champions. And I truly believe not only would it have been a match, it'll still be a match tonight contender because I'm involved, but I also believe that it's less cluster, it's less like obstacles being thrown in our way, and I just feel that's what it is. I just feel like, all right, let's see, how bad these guys want it. Like, dude, I've been doing this for 23 years. Like, by now you don't know how bad I want it. Then I don't really know what to tell any of these promoters at this point. It's not a knock on Battle Club, like I do consider them my home, but at the same time, like I am kind of addressing how I feel about this. And I just think having Federated there and JTP South is kind of a maneuver, kind of political maneuver, in my opinion, to kind of like throw us off for a game, like I think Kaluta's, if you've watched the progress of that guy, he isn't there yet. I'll admit it. He will be. If he continues on the path he is on, and under my tutelage, he will absolutely be one of the best big guys in wrestling. I don't say that because I think there's a lot of guys that are big that I don't really vouch for. He's one of those guys that needs to really find himself, and I'll help him. And I think once we win those tag team titles, that'll be something he needs for his own self. He don't need to do this for me, to be honest. He needs to do it for himself, and that's up for us to cement ourselves as those tag team champions.
Oh, got you. And again, Chris has he has that hunger. He has that, you could see that he wants to learn. He has that has that moldable mentality. That's like, there is something being under your tutelage now, especially exclusively with the Colossal Collective here, that it's like there's gonna be something to, like you said, make him into the true heavyweight that he can be.
Yeah, listen, it's not a maybe it is a knock on those other guys, but like, I'm out here training him, dude. I'm out here, like, he's out there training. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight in a good way. He's putting on the size that he needs to. I don't see any of those other guys doing that, man. And that's a straight up, like, if they you could sound it off again if you want. There you go, because myself, I don't care. I will always have something to prove, not to the promoters, not to the fans, not to the boys, not to myself. You know what I mean? That's more important than anything else. And Chris Kaluta, when I talk to him, he has the same mentality. It's like, I don't really need to prove. I need to prove it to myself, and that's why, in my honest opinion, my opinion, fact, whatever you want to say, that's why I think we'll be victorious this Saturday.
Got you. And no, that is something that's always been, when we talked about, even when, again, you can have a match that everyone's telling you, man, you killed it out there, this and that, you're someone that's still picking apart if something in there you didn't feel like your performance is at par, or you didn't look like you should have out there. Like, a lot of the IG lives, if you follow this guy on his Instagram, you'll hear when he'll talk about, yeah, I didn't look how I could have looked in this. Like,
Yeah, I have very bad OCD when it comes to nitpicking myself.
Yeah.
I've always said this: the two guys that I always, not that I don't look to other people, because I have great people like Joey Ace, AJ Pan, Ray Kalitri. Those guys are like my guys, But like as far as two guys that I always refer to, because I will rip myself apart. There are people who you can't tell them that they're doing something wrong. They'll be the shits, and they'll literally believe that they're the greatest thing ever because for whatever reason, you have to, I guess, be a little delusional in the business, I suppose. But with that being said, like I will rip myself apart on the littlest things. If a piece of tape is hanging off my wrist, I won't send that match. It's really weird shit, and I get it. Like it's probably hindered me more than anything, but there's little things like nuances that I can't watch and be like, okay, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? That's the issue. That's an issue I have with myself. You know what I mean? But Kaluta's like that too, and that's why I like him, and that's why I can bring that guy on board. Who's to say there's not more people involved with the Colossal Collective? I have an idea of who I want involved. I don't want a lot of people involved. I don't want this to be federated that has 1 million members. I don't want this to be NWO, red and black, whatever. Like I want this really to be exclusive. You know what I mean? Long after, I'm out of the ring and maybe I'm managing or something, that I really do want to pick these people for the right reasons. And these two guys, even though like a guy like AJ, you're like, okay, I can see that, AJ Slater looks like $1 million, has a great look, presence is great. He believes himself. There are things that definitely need to work. He absolutely does. And he knows this. And I talk to him about it all the time. Chris Kaluta, you would think is the opposite, but I see the potential, and that's the difference. People write guys like him off because they kind of see the way he acts, and nah, man, like you got to see the long-term potential, and that's where I look at people. I don't look at it for like, for what.
No, I got you, and it's perfect though because you have almost in a sense in the group right there, two polar opposites when it comes to this, and looks and just even demeanors.
Yeah.
And then even the presence, like I said, with Chris, he has that hunger, getting to call matches that both have been a part of. With Chris, you see that hunger is there, that want, that just to do better, to do what it has to take to, again, truly be a great competitor in there. And then with AJ, that he might just have maybe a little bit of an attitude problem. But again, that might be a good thing as well. Sometimes you need to be cold-blooded. You need to be able to do whatever it takes in there. Just a little bit. Just a little.
You have to, man. You have to have a sense of cockiness in this business, and he has a lot of it. And I think he will eventually back it up. We game plan, we tape study. I just need him to focus more, and he's going to be on that right path. I know he will.
Got you. No, again, just bringing it up from what I've seen from the commentary booth. That's all I'm saying, because I've gotten to luckily call both of them, and just seeing even again their young grind and what they're doing, and see what they'll become is going to be amazing. Again, this is why, guys, we'll mention it again. If you want to again achieve those dreams, go to the Fallout Shelter, check it out. Amazing coaches right there, including one right here, Colossal Mike Law. And shout out to Uncle Steve as well, who I have to get him on the podcast, which I know he's gonna love that I have you on again. And I've yet to have Uncle Steve. And we
were talking about it the other day, actually.
Every time we're booked on a show together, I'm like, I didn't forget. It's just every time I'm like, I have to get a Tuesday that we can do it, because I know that's the day he wants to and the time. That I'm just like, I'll get to you. We gotta make it happen. We gotta make it happen.
Absolutely. Shout out to Uncle Steven. So I mean, I appreciate the shout out, and again, we're tuning a fine crew of talent for the future, and I'm very proud of that.
Oh, definitely agreed right there. But now let's go back to you here, because this is the main reason we are here as well. And another champion, again, you're talking championship opportunities this weekend, but a championship you do currently hold is that RWA heavyweight championship. And that's been a bit of a situation there as of late that I don't know if you can fully discuss, but how has that been at RWA?
It has been a great run for me, because it wasn't like this business is so filled with politics. It's like I hate that. Like it's almost negated. People are like, oh, there's politics in everything, guys. Like I like there's levels to it, and there are people that will try to like. And I don't spend my life thinking about the people that probably have worse to say about me to promoters, and try to like, hey, he's like lowball him on price or anything. Like RWA was good to me, or has been good to me. The only problem I had with them was that they kind of treated me like a second tier talent. And I'm telling you, I don't go, it is not in my DNA to just settle, man. I never, my mom, God rest her soul, would never allow that. My dad would never allow that. And I just couldn't allow that. And I know that those guys have their kind of hand selected wrestlers and talent that they have a kind of a hard on for, for lack of a better term. And I just don't buy that, man. Like, everyone there boos me and they think I'm the bad guy, but I'm not the bad guy because I believe in myself, because I'm confident in myself, because I went from being, denied to being undeniable. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think the problem with those RWA fans has all been brainwashed to believe that guys like to me, I'm gonna send a picture out because apparently like I hit up the promoter, he no sells me. I hit up the other guy in charge and looks at my message and then doesn't even like respond. But then one of the guys that there was a situation a few weeks ago where a knife was pulled out. I was actually last month. I'm saying for you, it was like the end of July.
Okay.
And so someone pulled out a knife, and I was like, "Yo, you can't let like I don't care who I get upset or piss off. You know what I mean? If you want to throw down with hands, that's fine. But for someone to pull out a knife during a match, I don't know, man. And then you kind of reward that. Like behavior, I don't accept that, man, and I don't. To me, it's just like, if I'm them, I'm not gonna call the cops. That's like rat shit, dude. Like we don't. I would never in a million years. Like if something happens, it happens. But I just think there's a level of like safety that's required. And this is coming from a guy who's done death matches and flew through a chair. So it's not about like that, but there's a line, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where I thought there was like a little bit of a problem. And
that's definitely a little more than just a little problem right there. If someone's pulling out
but at the same time, man, I'm not one to like. I always handle my business in the locker room or backstage. Yeah. You can't anywhere I've ever been through, whether it was Warriors of Wrestling, whether it was NWA East, whether it was, Demand Lucha Super Kick. I've never, you can barely count any times I've ever had a situation where I had to go online and, call anybody out. Because that's just not the way I was raised in the business. But
of course,
I'm being tempted because I looked at the flyer for the next show, and then like rather than do the right thing and then like kind of either get rid of this dude or suspend him, they provided him an opportunity. And I think that to me is like, I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know how any promotion can say, oh, this is a guy we want as champion or even in title contention when they're doing like ridiculous shit like that. And I think the problem with RWA is not so much, me being the champion just shows further and further why I continue to evolve and that there's no slowing me down. But at the same time, I do see that again, it's kind of like Battle Club this Saturday. Like in 2 weeks, it's going to be myself versus Jason Gorey versus Supreme HL. And I'm like, well, why am I being put in these situations where like I'm the odd man out? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anyone can understand that, but it's kind of the same thing for the 4-way, and it's kind of the same thing for in 2 weeks at RWA. Like, I'm being put in a position where obviously they don't want me to succeed or win, and I have to call bullshit on that. And I, like I said, like if they're not willing to respond, then I'll air the dirty laundry, dude. I hate that I have to do it. 23 years and people can count maybe not even on one hand the amount of times I've ever involved in any like bullshit in the business, and this is one of them.
Oh, yeah, again, there's certain things that it can't stand, especially situations like that. That is very, it just shouldn't happen. And then the way things are reacted about, it shouldn't be a thing. But unfortunately, we've seen crazier and continue to see crazier things in this craft that we love here.
Well, I'll put it this way, and I'm not going to name names, but like if you're able to get away with certain things in the ring, then what's stopping a fan from doing it? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that like the security at RWA. I will tell you, like there was one time where someone was trying to like go around the ramp and fight me. Straight up, dude, I'll fucking headbutt you. Like I'm not a tough guy. I don't ever claim to be a tough guy. But I will be damned if I ever let anyone get one up on me, man. I will fucking rip. I'll bite your fucking ear off. I don't like that. That I don't have a problem saying because, if we're fighting dirty. But the security there like handled business, and it has happened in the past where security wasn't around. I had to fend for myself, but it's just one thing. It's not the security. I'm just saying like if certain wrestlers that are fan favorites are allowed to do certain things. Yeah. Then what's stopping the fans? Like, well, you can, like, oh, I'm just supporting.
Yeah, it creates that. Yeah, it creates that. Right? It's like, they did it. Why not? I'm going to do it too because I'm going to support them. And hey, they did it. So what stops it? Yeah.
That is what I'm saying. So, Derek, give me a call.
There you go. Again, make RWA make things right. Make things right here. Here we go. We got VX saying, you have great knowledge on this sport and are a fantastic pro wrestler. Prove them wrong this weekend. There you go. Awesome words there from VXS.
I appreciate it, man, and much love. Like again, much love to those guys. I see they're doing a thing, always something different, and that's what I appreciate. Like, it's going back to the promoter side of things. Like, I can appreciate places like VXS. I can appreciate places like Battle Club. I can appreciate places like, like even GCW. Because they're doing things on a different level, and I enjoy. That to me is important. Just putting together a show with a bunch of names and all that stuff. Like it just like random people. I'm not talking like WWE names or stuff like that. I'm talking about like straight up like something completely different. Like I always tell people like it's about the vibe. Even RWA, in my opinion, has a cool vibe to it. That's different for what they do. Like would their stuff get over in the Northeast? I don't know. Maybe. But for Western Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, that is what that fan base demands. And, it goes back to that whole thing, man. I've always told promoters, like, as far as advice, I go, just be a different vibe, man. You know what I mean? Like, I think personally the biggest flaw that a lot of companies have now, it's literally the same guys wrestling the same guys. I pride myself on being very choosy and picky of where I wrestle. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes to a flaw, because there have been times where opportunities presented themselves where I was like, I don't really want to deal with so-and-so. And it's respectful. It's not me trying to like just big league. I'm just saying like, it doesn't work for me, brother.
No, again, it's one of those things. Like it's something that, especially again, like you said, 23 years into this, that you have to do that. Cause again, it does become a thing where it's like, well, if I could see these guys here, why am I going to go over here? And it's a disservice sometimes to promotion that it's like, if you're using that same tool that it's like, we're using this. It's like, what stops someone from being like, well, I could just go over here that might be closer to me than make that trip and come see you. That again, it might be a whole different product, but it's the same guys I'm seeing over here. And pairings too. That's an issue. That's always.
I almost fell into that, Ray. I almost fell into that, like, oh well, I'm wrestling for this company here today. I got Brooklyn, Queens, and then, I think, and then after a while, I was like, I'm just killing my own market. You know what I mean? Because for me, for my business, merch is a big thing, and so I realized that the less people see of me in certain areas, the better it is for me. Yeah. And that does create value. Now, I'm not saying, hey, wrestle once a month, because hey, if that's your goal, that's your goal. But for me, I think you have to be strategic in where you go and how you go about it.
Of course. No.
I'm not going to go all the way to the Midwest for $20. That's not happening. But if there's an opportunity to go somewhere in the Midwest and it makes sense for me, then yeah, I will do it. And that gives me a little bit more leverage and longevity in an area that doesn't necessarily get a chance to see me. Doing CNE this past weekend in Canada for Classic Championship Wrestling was great. It introduced me to a whole bunch of fans that either see me very sporadically, either through Super Kick or Demand Lucha,
Yeah.
or any other time I've been to Canada. But doesn't it was enough to give them the taste buds, going, but not enough to like, okay, you're overstaying your welcome. And I've seen people do that, man. I've seen people just completely oversaturate their own market.
Yeah.
And it sucks because then, like, again, like you say, Ray, like it's one thing where if I could see you on Friday, like 10 miles away, then what does it really mean that you're wrestling the same guy 15 miles away? You know what I mean? Like, I think more guys need to be more attentive to that.
No, I definitely agreed. And it's one of those things I will say, like going through the years of being around this and then becoming someone that's now gotten an opportunity to call shows. And it's one of those where it's like, well, yeah, if I just saw this over here, how do you tell that story? Like, oh, this is the first time. It's like, well, we just saw that like maybe a town away, if that. Then it's like, it's one of those where it's like, we just saw this here, but it's, yeah.
Can I tell you that the one thing that I pride myself these days more often than not is that I will never tell the same story twice. You know what I mean? And that to me is a testament to how I approach this thing. And not everyone does, and I get it. Like some people are cool with the way they do their thing and they do it on the same exact way. I just, to me, feel like wrestling can be more exciting than that. You know what I mean? And if you watch, I'll put it to you, like every match that I had this past weekend at Classic Championship Wrestling Canada was different. There was different stories being told. There was different dynamics. There was different maneuvers. I just like, for me personally, I don't want everyone to say, "Oh, I saw that last week." Well, not. And again, I'm not saying that stuff hasn't worked for me so well that I haven't put it in my moveset and used it accordingly. But at the same time, like, I pride myself on not having the same match over and over and over and over.
No, of course. And again, there are certain people, again, not names and not to say names like that might do it because they think, oh, it's working. Well, I'm going to do it again and again and again. But there is a thing of, again, making yourself stand out that it's like, no, you're giving that different impression and giving something that's like, hey, it makes that moment, like you said, this weekend, doing that in Canada. That's like, maybe they have gotten to see you here and here, but it's like, you haven't been there as much that it's like, okay, this is something now we want to get that again. Now we have the interest. It piques that it's like, now we want to see some more Colossal Mike Law in the area.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had plenty of people mention that, and I think again, that's, listen, whether you dig the gimmick, the barbell, or or just like my style in the ring, like look, I'm not like I'm not here saying like I'm out here shooting 450s and stuff like that. Like I'll let the guys who still have, like, I for being at my age and this time I've been in the business, I feel great, dude. I have no, I know there are contemporaries or people that are younger than me that are just in pain, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but I also knew when to go and when to like slow down. You know what I mean? And when I knew that, knowing the audience, knowing the crowd, that's a big part of it. But I also think like knowing the risk to reward ratio, also a big part of it, and knowing where, just trusting your body and how it reacts to things. I think some guys and girls just push themselves to the point where their body, like, their body's eventually going to say, you can't do this anymore, or do it as well as you used to. And I just pride myself on saying, like, you know what, man, like, there are things that I used to do that I don't do anymore. And then there are things that I can implement that I used to do into the style of what I'm trying to convey in the match I'm trying to have, and kind of like the strategy that I have going into it.
Got you. No, and then that is that thing that I feel like when you talk to, again, a lot of people that bring that mentality into this, that it's like, yeah, I might do this. I no longer do this. But it's, again, it's to be smarter, to add that possibly longevity or just again realizing that, hey, maybe I can't do this as smoothly, so let me not do this so it doesn't look a type of way. And also add things that now I can do that it's like, okay, this again, from those years of doing this, that you learn like that. Like I even told you in the joke, like we started the podcast, I've known you now, I want to say for the better part of 9 years. I want
Yeah,
to say
wow.
when I saw you,
oh my
no,
god.
and I can remember the match. I can't remember what the name of the show was, anything like that, but I remember it was you and again, one of my good brothers, a good friend of yours as well, Anthony Gangone.
Oh
It was
yeah.
you guys defending the FTW tag titles against Private
Wow.
Party.
Yeah. Wow, man. That was crazy. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that match because there was at one point I think I was in the apron and uh I think it was Quen that leaped off of Cassidy or vice versa and gave me a Rana as I'm like heading head first into the floor because there was no padding on Laboom. That was at
No,
Laboom.
yeah, nope, yep,
And
it
I
was that.
remember being like, what in the hell am I doing with my life that I'm about to land on this hard ass floor? And yeah, man, it was good times, man. I enjoyed teaming with Gangone. I don't know if I enjoy teaming with him more or wrestling him more. You know, like he's one of my favorite.
I've got to see both because also at our time at Catalyst, seeing you two square off in there as well. It's one of the again seeing just what you guys can do in sequences and all there, and it's that best thing of again bitter rivals, great partners. It's the perfect mix right there.
Yeah, I always tell people that was that the one at BCW for the Mama Pan
Yeah,
Memorial from last year was far more emotional than the match at Catalyst. The match at Catalyst I had with Gangone was one of my favorites of all time. It's one of those things that where I'll be like, if I were to show people like a match that like to me showcase what I could do and how I view pro wrestling, it was really that match. I also will say that the match that him and I had at BCW was also excellent. Like to me, I'm a very like it's weird because I don't think people put the proper respect on what I do. And I'm not saying that I just think that some people think, oh well, he's kind of a character guy, right? He doesn't. But I will tell you, I've had many fantastic matches that, if there were in certain organizations, would get the love and the hype, but because they didn't necessarily happen in the most popular organizations at the time, they probably don't get the same love, which is whatever. I mean, I know what I've done and what I've accomplished, but at the same time, like I think a match with Anthony Gangone, at any level has always been really good. So he's one of the guys that I know hits pretty hard. I think the lack of respect, I guess, from that fact that I do lay it in, but I also expect people to fight back. I'm not one of those guys that, like I knew when I got into the business that this wasn't gonna be easy, and I also knew that, back then we beat the shit out of each other, and now it's like it's to me I kind of expected. You know what I mean? I've always been competitive, but I've never, other than three matches or three individuals who I legitimately hurt, because it happens. I pride myself on being competitive, but allowing my opponent, like, you know what, you suffer a tough loss, but I could walk away from it. It's part of what we do, and but I fully expect, like I was telling Gangone was one of those guys that hit me so hard, I saw a triple. I couldn't believe that shit.
that is.
I mean, Joe Cosio, another one. Like when people ask me the top 5 heavy hits I've ever taken in my life, let alone wrestling, Cosio was another one. Joe Cosio ran through me with a running knee that I swear to Christ, I saw the pearly white gates of heaven when I got hit. I swear.
Yeah, man. He rams it in again. He's another one, and Ant definitely.
Very,
And again,
very intense.
that is one of my best friends right there. But I remember one birthday chop that I was like, I'm good. Yeah, we don't need any more. Just this one. I think I'm good till next birthday. Thank you. But here we go. We're talking about this and a blast for the past right there for you, Mike. Lathon is in the chat right here saying, awesomeness seeing my young Jedi speak on the beautiful business of ours. Keep the great work from your Shidoji here. Like, much respect to Lathon again. It's crazy.
I can't tell you, man. There's two things about Lathon. There's a few things about Lathon.
Yeah.
Lathon I say this with the utmost respect and admiration, could and should have been a major star. 6'5", 6'6", probably a little taller. At the time, 400 pounds, even at a lighter weight, could move better than some fucking cruiserweights. The toughness and the grit that this guy bestowed on me is the reason why I've been able to last. There's no doubt in my mind that if, like, back then I didn't look at it that way, and my biggest regret, man, was not listening to Lay as much as I should have, and I was very stubborn and very stuck in my own head, and he only wanted me to get better, and I didn't figure out his message or his teachings until much later, and it bothered me because I go, man, like, my road would have been a lot smoother to just listen to the guy that had been doing this longer than I had. And I truly value Layton and what his teachings. You know what I mean? Like, he taught me to be tough, dude. Like, that level of grittiness and toughness. People, like, at 15 years old, people would have been like, dude, that's abuse. Nah, man. Layton could have fucking broken my arm if he wanted to. He could have snapped me in half. I was 110 pounds, 115 pounds at most at 15 years old when I started training in 1998 at Arena, Puerto Rico. And there's nothing that would have stopped that guy from beating the shit out of me. Absolutely. But he took care of me. He wasn't light. He always made sure that, you earned your keep in the ring. And I think you need more of that. I see guys like him. I see guys like Moff, Sean Donovan. I see guys like, just Papa Don, the guys that I know that throughout the years. And you need guys like that in this business. There needs to be some level of physical toughness implemented. And I'm not, and all these guys know in terms of the levels, right?
Yeah,
that needs to be brought back because pro wrestling is for everyone. In my heart of heart, in my soul, I believe pro wrestling for everyone. But the pro wrestling business, unfortunately, isn't. And it's not a knock on anyone's ability or love or passion for the business. There's always going to be opportunities in other aspects of what we do. Believe me, I've pretty much done them all myself, whether setting up chairs, being a vendor, being a booker, running merch, running people's gear. I've done it. So I can tell you from that level of experience. But the toughness of what it takes to be in this business for a while I think some people were getting away with capital murder, basically.
Yeah, agreed.
They would train for 2 or 3 months, call themselves pro wrestler, and and it just wasn't the way I was brought up. We had to earn every bit and piece that we did. So I know it's long and way elongated, but respect to my Shidoshi Layton territory. I truly appreciate that, man, because
much needed. And there you go. Respect here from Layton. And Layton, again, we much respect always. I appreciate everything you've done for this business, because without that guy right there, there's not a lot of people. For anyone watching this and that watches this after the fact, there are not a lot of people that you love and watch now without guys like Layton right there. Like,
yeah, I mean, the doghouse created a lot of the doghouse created a lot of beasts. Some were, and I think we can all look back subjectively, okay, some of these guys probably going to be cut off for the long term, but some of these guys, really, as the guys who stuck around, and there's a reason why, you know what I mean? And I just think for me, it's just one of those things where at the time I didn't necessarily understand what was, you know what I mean? I didn't understand the importance of value of what was going on. And I regret being so stubborn about it. But at the same time, I look back now, I go, it was an amazing experience for me, man, because that shit taught me, Arena Puerto Rico Doghouse taught me to just be tough and not take shit from anybody and always defend yourself. And, it's not like it's not like that these days. It's you know what I mean? The business has changed.
Yeah.
But I do think, again, when I look at guys, and it's funny because I was watching Buffy, Edward Crespo. I don't know if he wants me to shout out. I mean, he's on Facebook anyway, but
he's shout out to him, man.
you know, like I look at those guys, I go, this business needs guys like that to test people. You know what I mean? And Lathan and you know, because that's the way it just we could like the way we train at the Fallout. There's a lot of endurance, there's a lot of cardio, there's a lot of testing in terms of that. Always, you know, and in the doghouse it was like that as well. I mean, we do fucking grape stomp for ever in the corners.
No, it's like we joked about yesterday because we had Homicide on here yesterday at cardio, man.
Speaking of
point to that. Like, again, that's why, again, I have to give that respect. And no, thank you, Lathan. Again, if you ever do want to sit down on a podcast, please, I would be honored to sit down with you and just pick your brain for an hour on here, because truly just seeing that, and no, that mentality is neat, and just that style of training. It's one of those where it's needed because, again, this business, yes, wrestling, to enjoy it and to have that love for it, yes, is for everyone. But truly that in ring and to have that actual, to be in it, might not be for everyone, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's not a knock. Listen, I'm all for following your dreams, dude. If those guys in the arena Puerto Rico, if Lathan has said to, you know, they tested me, but that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, it wasn't a way to like if they wanted to do the freaking was it Hiro Matsuda when he broke Hogan's ankle? Like, if they wanted to do that day one, they could have done that easily. Yeah. But they would tested me to test my grit, to test the toughness. And I think sometimes when I look at the independent level of things, like I see, like I'll give you an example. In Canada, those guys, a lot of those guys and girls are athletes who have experience in other aspects of either combat or sports. Yeah. And I just see the way they train and even before shows, you know, like they're out there doing their squats, doing their push-ups, you know, getting a full training before going out there and having a 20-minute match. Like I had 2 20-minute matches, so 40 minutes in the span of, 2 main event matches, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And that was on top of 4 other matches that were also 15 to 20 minutes. So, you know, like, it's just like how many people can do that back to back to back to back. It's not easy. And
definitely not.
Just but that's why I'm thankful for how I came up, because there is a level of toughness and endurance that you need. Yeah. And I think there was a short time in the wrestling business and in the indies, I think, where a lot of what I in my mind, and it's just my mind, guys, like failed acting school students came and tried their hand in wrestling because, you know, maybe acting wasn't working for them, and they went on and did wrestling thinking, okay, this is my way into like a realm of becoming. And I don't know, this is just my perceived notion of that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think for me it's like, coming from the background I had, I think that to me was just a difference. Like I could see the difference between those who really pursue the passion and love for the business, and then those who are just trying to leech onto it with hopes of using it as a platform for something else. And I am not saying that's wrong either, because God knows this. If they said, "Hey, Mike, you know, we want you to act or do something on a commercial," absolutely would do it, no question. But at the same time, I never considered wrestling a springboard. I use it as something that I use it for my own, you know, personal gains.
Of course. No, again,
I mean, which everyone does. I mean, everyone. That's another thing too. We all want the attention. We all want some sort of notoriety or fame with it. You don't. Yeah. I mean, it all comes with the territory, I guess.
No, yeah, definitely. And again, it's one of those where, especially if you're putting in that commitment, you're putting in that respect for the craft, pun intended there, you would want what comes with it. And again, putting in that actual work to, again, get something with this. But there you go. Yeah, again, emphasizing those drills definitely is a big part of it. Emphasizing that. Mike Law, Doghouse alumni, 100%. There you go. Shout out again to Lathan, and much respect and love there. But no, again, Mike, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So as we start wrapping this up, I feel like you kind of answered this question. And it's funny because it's one of the ones that I've been adding to the line here, just because I feel like it's a great thing to see how people think about it. Again, 23 years in this. what would be one match that you would say for your career so far that you would say defines what you've done in those 23 years?
Man, yes, the Gangon stuff is only because I don't know, I just think it meshed well. You know what I mean? Like stylistically, we're both different styles of wrestler, but it was a physical match, and it was either one. I think of those that stand on my head. I had a banger against Darius Carter as well. Like, it is hard, man. 23 years in, and I know that there's so many matches that like some of the best matches, and I remember the Bucks talking about this, like the Young Bucks talking about this, like some of the best matches they've ever had, you have never been recorded, and I often see that too. Like, man, like I remember that match, or maybe I didn't. I don't know, man. I mean, I had a fantastic match a few years ago against Matt McIntosh. Like, yeah, man, I would say the match with Gangon, because right now, if you like, it sticks in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I've had some very good ones, but I think also too, I felt good physically. I looked good physically. I was moving at all cylinders. I posted a clip of me against Chris Wilde from 1CW from a few years back, and it was freaking fantastic. I forgot how fantastic it was, man. Like, I was like, damn, I got to wrestle Chris Wilde again, man, because that also was a very underrated. Again, it's where you go, and sometimes it's just like 1CW has their crowd and their fan base, and they're strong, and you know they do their thing, man. I just know that like Chris and I, when we went out there, and I don't remember if that was, I think it was 2 out of 3 falls out of that one, but again, just watching it back, I'm like, shit, I'm actually pretty good at this.
No, it's those moments like that. And again, I like asking this because this has been one, a question to add to this now, that it's like, I like to see it because it's one of those where it could happen. Today, this is your answer. Tomorrow, after having some time, it's a new answer. Next week, it might be another one. But again, it's one of those, like right now, it's always let's see what you're thinking. Because it started with Alex Shelley. That was when I first started. You know what? Let me ask this question just to see.
What was his answer?
He had 2 from Japan.
Okay.
He had 2 from Japan that it was more of just because of what they were able to do with even the language barrier and stuff like that he was able to just connect that. So it was like stuff like that. There was like the story they told, and then even the whole ending of a tour, that it was like it defined just what he was able to do in there.
And that's cool because, you know, like I look at, you know, like especially a guy like Alex Shelley, who's been so many places and wrestled so many great talents himself, obviously being a great talent himself. It's like, where do you start? You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, I'm sure I'm leaving out stuff that I'm like, okay, that was really good, and I could have, you know. But as far as if at the moment, that's a match that to me holds a lot of very high standard for me. You know.
Got you. No, again, it's one of those. Like I said, today this is it, or maybe again it stays with that for a while, and that's the best thing about it. Because again, it's still just 23 years. Who knows what could happen next, and how many more it goes. And just what again this business could bring to you. Like we said, you've done basically every hat you could imagine in this business, and it's great to still see again. Like I said, 9 years to the date, still hasn't changed a lot. It hasn't changed the look, but it's still just that hunger still there, just a lot wiser 9 years later. You know.
Absolutely, that's it, man. That's that progression of just your ability to comprehend the business, and it takes a long time. So kudos to you as well, man.
Oh, thank you, brother. Always. But before we let you go here, brother, any last things you want to tell to the lovely people that are watching at home? And yeah.
Listen, for those of people who've supported myself, the Colossal Mike Law brand, very much appreciated, man. For anyone who's ever purchased a T-shirt, a keychain, any of my merch, you know, I hold a lot of. I'm very grateful for that, you know, because it definitely helped me out for years. And for the people who constantly message me and talk about, you know, like, listen, just keep it up, man. Keep not so much message me, but like let's get the hype train out there, man. I've never been an internet darling. I don't, you know, it's not my way of getting over, I guess. But anyone who knows my work and my lineage of what I've done knows that the best is yet to come, and I truly believe that, man. Like it's weird because people are like I was, you're at your prime 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Nah, man, I don't believe that shit. My prime could be any day, like I look at it as a daily thing, not necessarily a yearly thing. But on that, man, catch me at this coming Saturday, Battle Club, Jobber podcast, Jobber Tears podcast. Biggest event of the summer. We're talking about Jobber Slam 4 over at the Brooklyn Sky Dome, 5 p.m. start time. Yep. Guys, check them out, man. If you've never been to Battle Club, I don't know what you're doing in your life because it is a different vibe. You know what I mean? Shout out support to all the great promoters who do good business. Joakim Morales, Pete Rosado, Anthony Cole, BCW, AJ Pan, of course, Mike Clark over in Canada. I'm still waiting on Point to come back. I love On Point. Anyone who's always been cool and just did good business, I appreciate it. But that's it, man. Thanks for the support. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Always, brother. Anytime. Again, that's why when you ask, let's do it, man. Anytime. The door is always open here for you, brother. And again, to anyone watching, please don't forget to go follow Mike Law as well on his social media, Colossal Mike Law on Instagram right there, on X at Colossal Mike Law right there. And before we go, shout out to Smiley who came in at the end, but good brother. Thank you for checking it out. Definitely rewatch the podcast, Smiley, because this is definitely a good one. A lot of gems here. And to anyone watching, as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft. And we'll see you guys on the next one.